Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia and today I'm doing the Wishful Thinking book tag. This tag was created and I was also tagged by Mason from Mason in the Dark, so I'll have his video link down below. You should definitely go check it out. This tag is super fun and I'm really excited to get into it, so let's get started. In Mason's video he did start off with the tag, so I'm going to do that as well. I just have a few channels that are a little bit newer to me that I've been really enjoying recently, and I would love to see what they do with this tag. So the people I'm tagging are Michelle Lexi, Leo Bancroft, and the Sassy Library Fox. Question number 1 is legacy. Is there an author you wish was still alive today to witness the impact of their work? My first answer to this is J.R.R. Tolkien. I just think it'd be really interesting if he were alive to see what his work has become, and especially as a new adaptation based loosely on his world is about to come out, just to see the impact that has had. There are a lot of authors though, I think it'd be really cool if they were alive to see what we're doing with their work, like Agatha Christie, as well as I think Shakespeare. I'm not super well versed in Shakespeare, but I have performed in a couple Shakespeare plays and I have studied a number of other plays, and everything I have been told from my theater directors and from a lot of English professors that I have spoken with is that we kind of interpret Shakespeare in a way that he didn't really intend, and a lot of his plays we take much more seriously than they were originally intended to be. So I think it'd be interesting if he were around to see what we are doing with his work. Question number 2 is the memory wipe. Which book or series do you wish you could forget, either so you could experience it again for the first time or forget completely? So I'm actually going to have an answer for both of these. Forget completely is a very easy one. It is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I read this book a couple of years ago, and honestly the only reason I finished this book is because it was a gift. It really was not for me. I disliked it the whole time, with one exception. There was one part that I actually liked, but other than that I didn't like the writing. I didn't like where the story went. I didn't like anything about this book, and I would like to forget it entirely if I could. I think that would make my life a little better, honestly. As for a book I wish I could forget to read for the first time, there's actually a lot. I'm sitting in front of a lot of my favorite books, so you could pretty much pull any of those and I would like to read them again for the first time. Some examples being The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which at this point in time is my favorite book of all time. It is annotated in a very messy style because I love it so much and I want to actually write a song about it, and I'm working on a song about this book because this book is so good to me and like so comforting to me. I'm like, I want to use this to inspire my own art. So I would love to reread this for the first time if I could forget it. Also, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This would be a really great book to forget so I could read it for the first time, because this book is so good, and this is a mystery book. And I think mysteries are really great for this, because mysteries and thrillers and horror, they kind of lose a little bit of their tension once you know what's going to happen. And the reveals in this book, as you're finding out the circumstances around this death, it was amazing. It was so good. I would love to experience that again for the first time. I'm also going to mention And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is a book that I love and I have reread a couple times, and it is a book that I would love to go back and not know what's going to happen and read it again for the first time, just because, again, it's a mystery that I think the reveals are so well done and it's just so well crafted that experiencing everything you learn again for the first time would be a really fun experience. Question number 3 is destiny. Which character do you wish had a different fate? I'm not going to name the character because I want to avoid any possible potential for spoilers, but there is a character in Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers that, following their arc and everything that happens, just broke my heart. And I wish they had a different fate. I understand why they don't, but I really wanted them to have a different fate. I wanted things so badly to turn out differently for them. Reading about this character arc was one of the first times in a while that I have just wanted to scream at a character and be like, no, do this thing, don't do that. Don't do that. Again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I'm not even going to mention the name because I want to stay away from spoilers. We're going to social distance from those spoilers. And I'm just going to say there's a character in this who I wish they had a better fate. Question number 4 is namesake. If a character was going to be named after you, what kind of person would you wish for them to be? And what sort of story would you want them to be in? So again, the second half of this question is very easy for me. I'd want them to be in a sci-fi written by Becky Chambers. I feel like if I had a character named after me, Becky Chambers would be my ideal author to write about that character. Alternatively, I would be okay with a character named after me being written into a cozy mystery, especially if it's one where the character named after me ends up being like a really kind and compassionate, but also like so smart and witty detective. But overall, any character named after me, I would want them to be a kind, compassionate person. I would want them to be hardworking. You know, all of the good fluff words that you throw out in job interviews. That is what I would want a character named after me to be like. And of course, I would definitely want them to be a musician as well, just because I feel like that is such a huge part of who I am. And if there was a character named after me, I would want them to at least play one instrument. Question number 5 is collectibles. Which fictional object do you wish you could own? This took me a little bit of time to think about because I wasn't really sure. A lot of magical objects, or a lot of fictional objects, I automatically think of magical objects, like magical swords, and like a magic wand, or like things like that appear very often in fantasy. But that's not really what I want. But what I would love is either the clock from the Night Circus, and if you read the Night Circus, I think you know the clock I'm talking about. But basically, if you haven't read the Night Circus, there is this giant clock when you walk into the actual circus, and it is described as being just magnificent and beautiful and just like this complete work of art. So I would love to have that. Or the fire from the Night Circus. There's like this giant fire that burns white flame, and I would love to have that. Alternatively, if we could just call the whole Night Circus one object, I would just love to have the whole Night Circus. It sounds like a beautiful, fun place. The way it is described makes me really want to go there. So if I could just have one object, it would be the entire Night Circus. In the book, the Night Circus is actually titled in French. It's Cirque des Rêves, but I try not to say that because my French accent is non-existent. I don't have one. It's terrible. So I just translate it into English so you guys don't get to laugh at how bad my accent is. Question number 6 is the reset button. Which book or series do you wish was written by a different author? This could just be because I read it so recently, but the first book that comes to mind for this is How Lucky by Will Leitch. This book I felt was mishandled in a number of different ways. The main character in this book is disabled and the author is not. And also the way this book handles homophobia and racism felt very off. And as I talk about in my most recent wrap up and also one of my reading vlogs, everything about this book just felt performative. I feel like this story could have been really well done if it was written by someone else. Especially with the disability rep, it felt very heavy-handed and very, look at me, I'm writing a disabled character, look at this good thing I'm doing. I feel like if it was written by someone who actually had a disability, and especially the disability written about in the book, they would be able to portray life a lot better and what life with that disability is like. And it also wouldn't come across as, look at me, look at this good thing I'm doing because I'm writing about your struggles. I see your struggles and now I'm going to write about them, and look at how good that makes me. So I think if this had been written by a different person, it actually could have been a pretty good book, but as it stands, it was very disappointing for me. Those are all the questions in the wishful thinking book tag. Like I said before, go check out Mason's video. It is linked down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what your answer would be to one or all of these questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!